The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, McCaul, joins us now from Austin. Mr. Chairman, is there anything new on this investigation? What do we think caused this now? What's the latest thinking?
Well, there is, but if I could just first say, as a Texan like yourself, this tragedy really hits hard, hits home. Our hearts go out to the families and the victims at Fort Hood. This Fort Hood community has been resilient. I'm very proud of what they've done, the great place, and standing up. This is the second time we've seen this now at Fort Hood. I did attend the commemoration service when Major Hassan killed 12 soldiers and one civilian. So it's very difficult to see this happen again. In terms of new information coming in, we do know that Mr. Lopez had applied for a leave of absence. He appeared to be a disgruntled employee, but I think at the end of the day, you're dealing with a mental health illness issue here, not unlike what we saw at the Navy Yard shooting. I'm very disturbed about the uptick in shootings and violence at our military installations across the nation. And one last bit of information with respect to Mr. Lopez's state of mind. He did put on his Facebook comments about how he's lost his inner peace. He's filled with hatred, and that he thought the devil would take him. So we're obviously dealing with not a rational person, and we need to look at how we can better fortify our force protection at military installations, but also how can we deal with these mental health issues with our returning veterans. You know, our suicide rate in the military is twice as high as the average population. We do a very good job at fixing broken bodies, but not such a great job at healing broken minds with our returning veterans.
You said earlier this week we might have to allow our military people to be armed on these military bases. What exactly are you talking about?
Well, I think we need to have a discussion. I think a lot of people don't realize that our military that defends our freedoms abroad, when they come home to the military base, are not allowed to carry weapons. Now, I think we need to have a discussion. We need to talk to the commanders about whether it would make sense to have some, not all, but maybe some of our senior leadership officers, enlisted men on the base carry weapons for protection. I think ideally what you'd want to have are more military police officers, but in the current budget climate, not as realistic. So it seems to me a force multiplier of officers and enlisted men that we can trust, the senior leadership, to have them carry, because it only takes a few minutes to wound and kill a large number of soldiers. Anytime we see soldier on soldier, it's one of the most tragic things we can see. And if we had senior leadership armed, just maybe they could have stopped it before it got worse.
All right. Well, Congressman, we want to thank you for joining us. It's not a happy subject to talk about. Thanks for coming and being with us this morning. You know, for all the bad news this week, the White House is feeling pretty good about one development. The number of people signing up for Obamacare finally topped 7 million people. Joining us to talk about it is White House Senior Advisor Dan Pfeiffer. But Dan, before we go into that, you heard what the congressman said. Do you think, does the White House, are they considering the idea of arming some of the soldiers that are on these bases?
No, Bob. The Pentagon has looked at proposals like the one that Congressman McCaul has talked about. They don't think it's a good idea.
And why would that be?
Well, I think it's clear from what happened at Fort Hood we have to do a lot more to ensure that our men and women feel safe when they come home. It's a terrible tragedy that happened in Fort Hood. The President and the First Lady send their thoughts and prayers out to the victims, the families, and everyone on the base. And they're going to actually travel down on Wednesday to the memorial ceremony.
The President is going to the memorial service?
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be on Wednesday?
Yep.
Let me also ask you...